They shut down Bexley, and they can say that that was about the building being bad, and it was, but they made no effort to maintain that culture whatsoever. They were, with a smile on their face, kicking those bricks down, saying, thank God that's done.
When the decision came out that summer that senior house would be closed, it was definitely heartbreaking. To me, that just meant the community that I've been living in and thriving in for the past couple years was now being taken apart.
So I think it took like a few days for it to actually like set in. When it like finally hit me, it was like really quite brutal.
MIT has shown that it is interested in shutting down the East Side culture.
I never expected that I would care about a dorm or that I would care about where I lived.
For me, it's like hard to separate East Side culture from MIT culture because I think that there's something unique about MIT culture in itself that like allows East Side culture to exist.
East Side culture is just not caring about what the norm, not caring about what other people do or what other people think, and not caring about who you're making comfortable or uncomfortable.
I associate East Campus and Senior House with looking for a fight, just a tendency to push on the boundaries, and you know, I think you wind up with a tension there that builds a reputation that is greater than the reality.
Something that I always heard were people being scared of the east side of campus. Yeah, I just thought it was hilarious.
What East Side means to me is a sense of sort of community, of acceptance. The small size of Random makes it really easy and not intimidating to get to know everyone.
Those dorms like really become people's like family and community in a way that you wouldn't get at most other universities or in most other dorms.
It's an easy sell. Do you want to like have fun? Do you want to like do crazy stuff? Yes, of course you do. I have a hard time imagining my life without having lived on the east side of campus for all these years. It's such an integral part of who I am and how I've gotten to where I am.
Looking back, this has been the most like influential part of my college experience. Like, I would say like East Campus has defined me more as a person than like the rest of MIT has, to be totally honest.
You know, camaraderie that goes beyond like I cannot see these people for 5 years and just show up on their doorstep and they'll be like, hey, come on in, crash on the couch. It's, you know, we truly are family.
The first thing that comes to mind is definitely the murals. That was a big selling point for me because I really like painting, and the ability to paint on your wall just sounded awesome to me. The big poster back there is actually a mural that I painted in my room when I lived in senior house. And the tree is actually a representation of the big tree that was in the courtyard. They only flowered a very specific time, and my first cereals, they flowered like the day of the feast, and it was just magical because there were all these flowers and like people in the courtyard, and it was great.
I think a lot of what made Steros awesome was more of like the wholesome activities where you would have like generations of people come back with their kids and just like eat like all this food in the courtyard, and like everyone's catching up. It was always so awesome.
An old friend of mine from high school lived on Putz and told me it was, you know, the place to go if you liked power tools. There's a lot of support in East Campus for people who build things in a number of different ways. One of the biggest ways is that there are upperclassmen around who've built things before.
3, 2, 1, go!
And this is sort of something that can only exist because East Campus in the past built things and helps ensure that EC in the future will also continue to build things.
EC and the East Side in general is like a really good place to be LGBT or queer or whatever. And I think that's just sort of like a power in numbers sort of thing. I mean, I came here and I didn't even realize that it was like, that you could see someone who is like very obviously like a lesbian or like a masculine woman. And that I think like first realizing that I could have that and that could be like who I was on the outside and not just on the inside was like, for me, it was like the biggest like hook that the East Side had for me.
I think senior house was special because I didn't just feel like I was accepted there as a queer person or like just tolerated, but that I was actually celebrated and that it was something that was like special and really good about me.
I'm never in my adult life gonna be in a place like so concentrated with like queer people and people with like identities similar to mine. It's really nice like to not be in a place where you feel like othered in any way. Being the president of Senior House was particularly challenging when I was in that role. I think it's always been a difficult role because there was always pushback to what Senior House was, and like you got the brunt of that from the Institute. The thing that's most challenging about working with the administration is that you're never gonna have the upper hand, right? Like, you're always like just begging for every inch.
There's been a general broader tendency towards parental oversight of what's going on at the university, or the parents wanting the university to take a parental role in managing their kids, which even in the early 90s I think was pretty offensive, because had you chosen not to go to college but gone into the military or gotten a job, nobody would be trying to treat you as a child.
It used to be the students were in charge of absolutely everything. The students were the desk workers who did security, did packages, sold stamps, sold soda, whatever, rented out movies wherever they wanted. Students were in charge of keeping kitchens cleaned, in charge of a lot more around the dorm than they currently are. It's like one by one, like responsibility is being taken away. Students these days have to jump through so many hoops to do anything. There's so much liability that they have to worry about that we just did not worry about.
Random has a long history of fighting with the administration and, quite frankly, losing. MIT administration just does not want to take on liability when they don't need to.
The faculty are stellar and the students are stellar, and the administrators don't understand or respect or maintain the benefits of the unique MIT student community. And whatever communities you have around sort of activities and scheduled events, it's a very different thing than it's 2 a.m. and I feel like shit and I know if I go hang out in the lounge, someone will wander by, right? And I don't think you get that without the sort of physical proximity of living together. Shutting down East Side culture community spaces is a blunt solution to a complex situation. And I don't think it will resolve the problems they want it to resolve, although it may fix metrics they want to fix.
And sure, you can try and cover up, we're trying to keep people together by allowing you to move in with other people to other dorms and stuff, and we'll help you do that. But having a few people is not the same as having everybody there. A small fraction of something will never truly be the whole.
I mean, I think that it gets harder to fight for these communities as we lose them, right? Because like, you have fewer people on campus that understand this. You have fewer people who are passionate about it and willing to fight and like, or even be an ally.
It's definitely heartbreaking to know that like after my class graduates, after everyone from my class graduates, that's kind of the last class of Senior House. I'm a little worried, I'd say.
There's a new dorm going up, and as soon as that's ready, as soon as the other renovations and other dorms are done, they're going to renovate East Campus, and they're going to renovate it out of existence. The building may still exist, it might still be a dorm, but they are going to make sure that you're not painting murals, you're not modifying any portion, you're not knocking holes in the wall to put in a fish tank, you're not doing any of the things, you're not given the freedom to express yourself that the East Side culture requires.
East Side culture is not dead though. We will die out when we want to.
And I really hope that we can preserve these communities and make new ones in the new dorms. Because I think it's like not just like an East Side culture thing, it's an MIT culture thing. And I think part of what is so cool about the undergrad experience at MIT is that there's so much variety and so much choice and so much independence for students. And I think that's like very much linked to MIT's values. And I hope that people come to realize that who have control over their future.